Hey YouTube, and welcome to my new show, Cooking with the Flair for the Bizarre. Okay, so here I've managed to mash up all of the bits of tomato paste. Yeah, looks so right, so I've got some time. We're going to check this, and as you can see, that side is pretty well black. Hey guys, welcome to the show. In the first episode, I'm going to be cooking noodles and spaghetti dishes, with being all my original recipes. And, wait. Hey, you can't take my stuff. Excuse me for a moment. Alright, sorry about that. It was just one of my friends, Andrew, who's always playing jokes on me, trying to take my stuff.
You destroyed one of our ships. Prepare to die.
Oh, I guess that wasn't Andrew. Be right back. Alright, now let's get cooking. Alright, so let's get started. Today we're going to be cooking 6 of my recipes. 2 of them are kind of a little bit different, so we're going to cook a smaller amount of those. We're going to be doing sweet and sour curry spaghetti, tuna noodle casserole, chips and noodles, noodle salad, noodle slab, and basically some mushed up noodle bits kind of thing, I don't know what to call them. So, first of all, we're going to start by getting our water boiling, and we're going to do 2 pots. We're actually going to be cooking 3 kinds of noodles, but, and we want them separate, so we're going to have to cook 2 at a time. Alright, so now, when you're filling up a pot, I always recommend using hot water. And you don't really have to wait for the water to heat up. Just turn on the warm water and hopefully it'll get warm before the pot fills up. Alright, now we can take these over to our stove. We're going to be using the front element to make the sauces and condiments. So we're going to put these on the back elements, and then, oops, wrong one. I like to bring them on a high temperature, and then I always like to cover them because the steam builds up, and then you get them to a boil faster. I know that one is kind of small, but it will do for now. Alright, so we're going to need a pan, or a skillet in this case, for our first one. So now, we'll turn that on. We'll do it just about 2 for now. Okay, just get that pot back. And then, just kind of heat it up a bit. And then we're going to go get our ingredients. Now we're going to need some olive oil. So, come in here, olive oil. Alright, so here I've got a little PDA, my planner kind of thing. I'm going to quickly take a look at my recipe. Okay, so for the olive oil, we're going to do a 1/2 cup. And usually when I cook, I don't measure everything first time when I create the recipe. And then when I go to the second time, then, or after the first time, then I kind of eyeball it and say, that was about a 1/2 cup. So, I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of olive oil in our pan, which I already have heating up. Kind of speed this along. Now I'm going to put this olive oil away. Here. We need some liquid aminos. And then for our liquid aminos, we're going to need an 1/8 of a cup. 1/8 of a cup measurement that I know of, so I'm going to use half of a fourth cup. Like Aminos. Like that, with 1/8 of a cup. Okay, there's about half of a fourth cup. Now that we have our stuff in here, we can turn our heat up to about 2.5. There we have our 8 cups of liquid aminos. Alright, so we got balsamic vinegar. We're going to add a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar to our sauce here. That in. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And while we're here, we are going to get some curry. We need 2 teaspoons of curry. So I'll get it from our lovely spice rack here. We use a curry mix. This is private selection, that's important, because each brand is going to have a slightly different curry. Because curry isn't just a single item like a root that they've ground up into a spice. Curry is a mix of spices. And so they have the same general spices they use for the mixes, but they're going to be different. So I use private selection. You can use whatever you like. But if you want to try and go for what I taste here in my home, you should go private selection. That's about what we need. We'll just stick that in there. Put the lid back on. Screw everything into place. Then I'm going to grab a spatula now, and I'm going to stir the curry in. And I'm watching because if I see they start to steam from the liquid aminos and the vinegar too much, I will turn it down. Because their goal is just to heat the ingredients up and mix them that way, not to boil them or anything. Get them or fry them. So now we got that in there. So it looks really cool in there. You can kind of see the oils on top of everything. The curry kind of mixes in both layers. But when it's done, it will be mixed a little bit better, and you can add emulsifiers if you want. This is what it looks like so far. Alright, now we are going to get some honey. And then for the honey, we are going to need 4 teaspoons of honey, or 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. So here is our honey. And I do notice that we are simmering here, so I am going to turn it down all the way. Just kind of cool off, maybe stir it around. Because the simmering is good, but we kind of want all the ingredients to simmer together. 1, 2, here's number 3. And you really want to melt this honey, so what you can do is take some of your heated up sauce, just scoop it up with this, get it in there, kind of help melt the honey, and then make it a little bit easier to scrape out of your measuring spoon with this, and then we are going to stir in our honey. Alright, so we got some tomato paste here, the next ingredient, and our last ingredient for this sweet and sour curry spaghetti sauce. Put it in there. Perfect. And then this kind of adds a color to the sauce, kind of a deep red color, as well as a slight tomato flavor, but you're going to taste more of the curry and of the other flavors. I've got my hand, oops. The flavors that are on the sauce. And once you get that in there, just kind of carefully mash it down, and it will break up and start turning into more of a sauce. You can use sauce too if you like, as well. But I use tomato paste because it's healthier ingredient list. Okay, so here I managed to mash up all of the little bits of tomato paste, and it's mixing nicely with the pan. Now our spaghetti is going to be a little bit while longer, so we can go ahead and just turn our heat off and then reheat this if we need for the spaghetti, or the spaghetti will reheat it. But we are done with our sweet and sour curry spaghetti sauce. Okay, now we are going to make the noodle salad. Kind of sounds like a salad, but there's no grains in there. So first of all, we have a 1/4 cup sunflower seeds, shelled, and not salted, just pure sunflower seeds. And then we have 1/4 of a cup of dehydrated green bell peppers. And then that's Provident Pantry. And now we're going to add in some red pepper flakes. This is Pizza Hut package. You can use any brand, just red pepper flakes in there. And then that's good, just one package in there. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil in, and I will adjust the amount of olive oil that I put in according to how much noodles I have. Okay. We'll start with that much because you don't want a lot, you don't want this to be oily. You just want enough that you can cover the noodles. Now let me slip over here, get a spoon, and just kind of mix together. And then we're also going to need some curry. So I will come down here and get our curry again. And then for the pepper flakes, I added a little bit more than, but usually I add about 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon. And about that much curry. So I will just eyeball it there. When eyeballing something, if you just make a recipe and you shake on how much you feel, then when you can eyeball it, I find it helps if I just imagine everything clumping together into a pile in my mind. And then I can say, okay, I know about how much curry I added. And then next time that I make something, I can go ahead and adjust it. So, we are done with this except for the noodles, which is the last step for this recipe. Okay, so our water's ready, so I'm going to really quickly grab the salt. Okay, our water's ready. Now we're going to add some salt to it. Now, we want to add about a tablespoon of salt. And I'll always just eyeball it. So, a tablespoon of salt looks about like that. Right in there. And then I can just add the same to this pot. And it might be kind of hard to see when the water's boiling, but once you add the salt in there, it kind of takes the boiling down a bit. And you just account for the slight dissolving of salt. So, now we've added our salt. Now we're going to go get our noodles. Alright, now, since we are making several dishes, we are going to need a lot of noodles. So we're going to go ahead and put these in our pot. And go ahead and dump it in. And then let it kind of fan out like that. Go ahead and put another one in. And you might have to cook it twice for this spaghetti right here. Go ahead and get this other one in there too. And let's see, we are a little bit close to the top. I overfilled, but you can always take some water out using this here. I'm just going to let the noodles go down. And I'll just put this to the side, so if I need it again, I can get it without getting more water from the sink and being wasteful. Now, I just like to grab something that I can use because this water is very hot. You just bring it around in this kind of a circular motion, kind of push down in the middle, because you want to get all the spaghetti covered as fast as possible so that it all cooks evenly. You don't have ends that aren't cooked. Then, once I got it covered mostly enough, I know the rest will sink down, put the lid offset. And then you can always refer to package directions here. And it's usually about 10 minutes. This one's 9 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set a timer for 9 minutes because I like al dente. Perfectly al dente. It does vary on where you are, your elevation, and how your water gets to boil. But I just do it in package directions, simple, and it turns out great every time. Alright, now we're going to put on our egg noodles. I know these are 2 different types, but that will work for what we're doing. We just had this and then got some more. So top. I'm going to open this up and pour all of our egg noodles into the pot. And then I will go ahead and take this device that we used here. Go ahead and pour the rest of our noodles on. Get that noodle out of there. And then, whoops, and splash there. Then, bring this down. And your noodles are well enough covered. And they will sink down, but actually I do want to come up from the bottom, kind of mix the noodles, two kinds that we have together. Here, the thing, and there we go. Alright, now we're going to be making our tuna noodle casserole. I have our 2 cans of tuna open, which we're going to get to in a moment. First we're going to chop an onion. I know this looks fake, but it's an onion saver. You can pick this up for about $2 at your local grocery store. I don't know exactly which stores carry it, and if it's still around in the stores. But it's just a nice little thing to keep your onions fresh. Now, this onion's already partially been cut and used, and that's fine. I can still show you how to properly chop an onion. So now I'm going to get our knife. This is a stainless steel knife set. Advertised as $50, but always on sale, just to get you to buy it. These will be used for special episodes. So this is special for cutting the onion. We're just going to come straight down, and then we do not want to cut off the root. I mean, you can kind of pull off those ends if you think they'll get in the way. We don't cut off the root of the onion. And then, you come along, and don't cut all the way through again. Just cut like this. Try and make uniform and even cuts. There are lines in the onion that you can use to help with that. And then, I'd like to turn it around when I get to this side, so I don't run into my hand. And then depending on the size of the onion, you might need to come, take it like this, and cut it halfway. Sometimes even 3 times for the larger onions. And then, just curve your hand like that, and then you can cut down here. And it looks like our noodle timer is done. Don't waste any time taking your noodles out of the pots, because that will then ruin the al dente-ness of them. Then I'm just going to go ahead and dump this out. Okay. Then I just use a little water to get the rest of the noodles out. And then since we are going to be using this right now, we can go ahead and still a little bit of water draining, but that's okay. That will kind of help keep our noodles moist. Go ahead and take that, bring it back over to here. And then we have a lot of moisture still, so we'll keep that, keep them hot. Go ahead, our second set of noodles. And I'm actually going to take and save some more of this water, because we have one more kind of noodles to cook. Just put that to the side carefully. And then again, just rinse down your pot, switch some water. And if there are noodles that are stuck, you can just go ahead and use your finger to unstick them, as long as the water's cooled down the pot. Now, still one. And then you can set them on top like that in the strainer. But we're going to pour them back into the pot, because we'll be using the strainer again later on. There we go. Now, I'm going to put this over here on the back element where it was, and cover it up to keep our noodles hot and warm. Okay, now back to our onion here. If you get a bit like that, that didn't have a line cut in it, then you can go ahead through that there. But then, just going to keep cutting uniform dices. When it gets to be out here, I can sometimes I hold the root. Now we're getting to the point where we can actually come kind of chop off the root a little bit. There, just a little bit. Go ahead and dice that up a little bit better. I'll put this. Then you can kind of go like this if you need to. And then cut. In all sorts of directions here. Get as much of that side of the onion as possible. Then just go up and take any extra large pieces and trim them up. Make everything look good. Okay, so now you see we have our onion done. So I'm going to take a bowl and put onion into it. Scoot this to the edge. The non-sharp side down. Just scoot our onion in. I'm not going to do all of it, but most of it. Leave a little bit so I can say, I think it needs more onion, or that was just perfect. Okay. Now, that's got enough onion. We're going to come over here. And we're going to go ahead and add our tuna. And we don't want the juice of the tuna. It does have its use. I haven't used it in the recipe yet. And don't drain off all the juice, so just go on and lightly press it. And get a good deal of the juice out. But the juice is where a lot of the flavor is. And do the second one. Okay, there. Then, grab our spatula that we use for our water, because we can use it for this. Just want to scoop the tuna out into our bowl with our onions. This tuna is tough to scoop. I don't know which how this brand packs it, but we'll deal with it. Now, you've got that in there, and it looks all nice and good. Okay, so now we are going to add some mayonnaise. This is light safflower mayonnaise. You can use olive oil mayonnaise, you can use homemade mayonnaise, and grapeseed oil mayonnaise, or you could use Miracle Whip. Just think there's too many chemicals in that, and it's gross. I'm just going to scoop a whole bunch of mayonnaise out of here. And let's see here. I need a smaller one to get deeper. We'll see how this looks. And I will adjust the amount of mayonnaise to our noodles. Here. We would just mix everything up here. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to get out our Mrs. Dash table blend. I absolutely love this Mrs. Dash brand of stuff. And let's see, how much do we want? I will do about that much. Just enough to cover the top. So if we put that together, that's going to be about 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon. And then maybe a little more, I can't see it. More like a tablespoon. And then mix that up there, and this will be ready for our noodles, but I will adjust this amount depending on how much noodles we have. Now we're going to add in our noodles and adjust our ingredients accordingly. Just reach under there. Mix everything up. And might be kind of tricky if this bowl was bigger. It would be a little bit easier, but this is a big bowl. I'm going to make sure that everything's well incorporated and mixed. You can turn the bowl like I'm doing here. When you see clumps, just go through and kind of cut them up so that they don't stick together. So I have just added some more mayonnaise here, because it is looking a little bit dry. go ahead and mix this in and see if it's enough. Okay, now, 2-fork tasting method, we're just going to try a little bit of this. Let's get a little bit of my onion. Yeah, it's all falling off. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to make the chips and our Bosch mixer, grinder, food processor here. And then we're going to get out a grinding tool, and we want the blade, double-sided blade, big and small. And you want the small side. And then small side is up. Go ahead, put that on here, lid on, and then we'll just go in and start putting almonds in. You're just going to fill up this feeder, which acts as a measuring cup. Well, no, it does cups, and it has a cup. So, got more than a cup, but that will be good. I'm going to turn it on high and let it go. Alright, I'm going to do just a little bit more. Alright, now on top, around the edges, we have accumulated these big bits here. We can still use them if we want to. Maybe add bigger pieces for a crunch. I'm just going to grab a small little bowl here and put those off to the side for later use. Now, and then we do have big chunks in the bottom there. But what we basically created is an almond powder, which is what we are looking for. Okay, so now we're going to make a sauce using the rest of our tomato paste. I'm going to grab just a small little spatula here and take the rest of our tomato paste out. And guys, we're going to make a tomato sauce. This won't be like the tomato sauce that you buy in the cans, because I made that in culinary school, and it takes a lot longer to make than you would think, and has like onions and other stuff in it that make it taste good, which you wouldn't think are in there, because you would just think it's the juice of the tomatoes with some of the pulp diluted down with maybe some water, which is what I always thought too. I'm going to go ahead and do this out, and I'm going to use this for my water here. Fill up this 6-ounce can, almost full. First of all, I'm just going to swish the water around in there. I'll get out more of the tomato paste, and that really works wonders. Helps there. Then I'm going to start by mixing my tomato paste until I have it into more of a clear. And now we are mixed enough. And then, because we are going to thicken it with the almonds, we're going to have a little bit more water. So now I've added maybe about a cup of water. And then I am going to mix that up. And I've already got a second pot of water boiling for our noodles for this, so it is working on that. Now I'm going to dump in some almonds. About half of what we made there, that's about a cup of almonds. Maybe a little bit more. You want this to be a thick sauce. Stir it up until you don't have any extremely white almonds in there. and they actually probably will double this for what I am making here today. But we'll go ahead with this and then I will double it. So now I'm going to get some tarragon, just some leaf tarragon, and sprinkle just a little bit on. I want just about a teaspoon of tarragon. We'll go ahead and we will mix this up here, and then I want maybe a little bit of pepper. Pepper always helps add flavor to some things. Not a lot. This isn't supposed to be a spicy dish. A little bit more, but just a hint of pepper. And I'm trying hard to remember this because I couldn't find the recipe that I wrote down. It's been years since I have made this dish. Alright, now we're going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar, just about a teaspoon, maybe half, because you don't want to taste the balsamic vinegar as much. It's just kind of there to help take out the really strong tomato taste in this, because tomato sauce tastes like tomatoes, and other things too. It doesn't have a really strong flavor. We'll go ahead. You want to try that? I think that was good. Now we're going to add a little bit of parsley flakes. The original recipe had oregano, but this will do good enough. We're just going to add about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons, and mix those in. Okay, so the noodles for our chips and noodles have finished cooking. So I'm just going to put them into a nice bowl here, and then I have saved our water from cooking those noodles over here. Into our pot. Crank up the heat again because we have one more type of noodle that we need to cook. And then I'm going to just come over here and I'm going to pour this thick sauce onto the noodles. It looks a little bit thick. It should be that thick. Here. And then we will scrape out all of in here, get all the good tastiness of it. And about by now, you're kind of wondering, chips and noodles, what kind of chips? Is it like fish and chips, like french fries? That could actually be pretty good. But no, we're talking about Mexican tortilla chips, just regular corn tortilla chips, which I will show you in a moment, as soon as I get this all mixed up. And I went ahead and I made half more sauce. And this is for just one package of spaghetti here. I will look at the ounceage when I get to the chips. Alright, now, the original recipe had the noodles long, but I'm going to go ahead and change it up since I know a little bit more about cooking. And I'm going to cut these noodles up into smaller bits. Alright, these are the chips that we'll be having with our chips and noodles, which we just made. These are just regular tortilla strips. You can do round, scoop chips, just whatever, or triangles, just whatever you want. Make your own. But you basically just use these to eat the noodles. Okay, so now I've mixed it up. As you can see here, I have pieces about that big. It's all cut up nice. I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. So we're now ready to mix our noodle salad. Great. Put that to the side for now. Come back. Now, you want half that amount of noodles. I'm just going to grab a handy noodle scoop. And come over to, and by the way, this is a 17.6 ounce package of noodles is what I used. While we were cooking the other stuff, these did dry out a bit, but they kept nice and moist in the middle. And then you could splash a little bit of water on them if you wanted to re-moisten them up. And since we're making multiple recipes, that did give a slight cause for them to dry up and clump. I'll go ahead and put another scoop in here, and then we'll go ahead and see how this looks here. Oh yeah. I love my noodle salad. And since the stuff is kind of heavy, all this stuff on the bottom here will kind of sink to the bottom. But that's okay, we'll just keep mixing until it is incorporated. I do want another good scoop of noodles, because this isn't half. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the rest of our noodles here. Not quite all of them though, because we do have another recipe that we need with the noodles. So I can just use my strainer here. So I'm going to take about that much, a little bit more out. There we go. And then I'm going to kind of just come in here, kind of mix this sauce up. Now actually, I forgot, I want to take a lot more than that. We won't use that much for the other recipe. But then what we're going to do is we're going to come and pour our sauce onto here. Really scrape down this pan. Get all the goodness in there, you know. Real good. Okay. Then just kind of hold it up. Scrape down on that side. Now, there's a good reason why we took out so many noodles. We're going to like oil in the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more of our noodles and just put them right in the pan. Stir them around and let the oil really stick to them and get them flavorful, and then we'll add them to the rest. And this helps us save money. So. I love my sweet and sour curry spaghetti. We'll go ahead and follow the same mixing procedure we've been doing here. And this is kind of like honey noodles, a combination between honey noodles and sweet and sour chicken. That's where I got the idea for this wonderful dish. Boy, I wish you could smell this right now. And I know smell-o-vision isn't possible, but it is possible to make air fresheners scented like the food. So you can buy the DVD set and get the air freshener for that episode. But that would be a little bit costly and expensive. This is good enough for now, and you'll smell it when you cook it in your own homes, and you'll just say, wow. Alright, there we go. Now we've got this here. Now, we still have quite a few noodles. Now we're not going to use all of this, because I am making one of my stranger recipes. Okay. Now I'm just going to put this sketch down there. We're going to put in our blender for this. This is Noodle Salad. A lot of people have said that Noodle Salad is kind of gross. That's why I'm not making a whole big bowl full of it. So then, I'm going to add in about half the amount of noodles. And a little more because it will shrink down a bit. Now I'm adding some olive oil. So we have about 2 cups of noodles and about half cup of olive oil. And then I'm going to get our Mrs. Dash again, table blend, and sprinkle some on. A good amount of Mrs. Dash. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to grab some of the rest of our onion. Right here. Just put that on top. I'll actually just do all of it. And put that in there. And then, the lid for that got broken, so that's why I'm using this plate. This works perfectly. And then, as you see there, it clumps up on the side. So, then, when it does that, what you want to do is put it down in the middle. And add a tinge more oil to it. Be very careful when I was going down there with this. And then, okay, we'll just turn it on one more time. Now this is done. Here we have our noodle slab. When I was going to private school, Kimber Academy, one time I said that I was going to bring some of this for my lunch the next day. And I asked if any of my friends wanted me to bring a little bit extra so they could try some. And one of my friends said yes. So I got there with this noodle slab, and then he and almost all the other rest of the class said, "Ew," and he said, "Thanks, but I don't want it anymore." But another one of my friends there tried it and said that it was actually pretty good. So there are 2 people that like this stuff, and if you like weird and crazy stuff, then that would be great. Actually, I just thought of an idea. You could spread this on toast and have it be spread like peanut butter, or probably it would be a lot closer to Vegemite. I've never had before, but it sounds kind of good. Actually, we can take this. We can go ahead and take this bottom piece out here, and then get the rest of our delicious noodle slab. Here. And there you have noodle slab. Okay, so now our last dish is really simple to make. I put some angel hair to al dente, and I'm just going to dump it out there. And then I'm going to rinse it with some colder water to cool it off. And put that over here as I get out the item that I need, which happens to be a potato masher. This one happens to have interchangeable holes, so you want the smallest hole setting, about that big. They do have something like this in stores. It was talked about on the show, Chow Italian, but I couldn't ever find any in the store. I found something close that had a lot longer little strips. But what we're just going to do is just put our noodles into our potato masher like so. And then once we have it filled up, and you have to do this with angel hair, because you're going to spend a really, really long time doing it with regular spaghetti because it's so hard to mash. Unless you have an electric spaghetti or potato masher, which I've never heard of. And then this comes out looking kind of like rice. And you do have stuff that comes up on the sides. I just scoop that down in and go ahead with another batch. So then, for the first time, if someone comes in the room and says, "Oh wow, your rice looks good," you can say, "It's not rice, it's angel hair." And they'll say, "Whoa," and then you can explain it to them and be all excited and creepy. Or you could play a joke and serve it to them as rice and then give an evil laugh. Ha 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 ha. You're not eating rice, you're eating mushed up angel hair. But whatever you want to do. Now we're going to put just a little bit of olive oil on this. Perfect. And then you can pick any seasoning that you want. You can do your own seasonings. I'm not going to do Mrs. Dash Table Blend. I'm going to do Mrs. Dash Garlic and Herb. Usually I do Table Blend, but I thought I'd spice it up a bit because I use Table Blend quite a bit for my other recipes. So we'll sprinkle some of that goodness on. And then, this is kind of like Noodle Salad, but as you can see it's in little bits, and it would be a little bit fluffier. I think I set my angel hair timer a little bit too long. Yeah, I did. But this will be good enough. And so then there you have it. This doesn't really have a name, but it's kind of like fluffy angel hair noodles. So that's it for the first episode of Cooking with the Flair for the Bazaar, and I'll see you next time.